Hello and welcome back to Social Hour. I'm Megan,
And I'm Sarah.
and this is episode 3. So, how has your week been?
So, my week has been actually pretty good. From the last episode, I was pretty honestly like frantic of like being able to organize all of my thoughts and after talking, I really was able to jot everything down and like completely organize it way better and feel a lot better about it too. So I have that going for me at like the start of this week that I did, and then
Good.
um like making it to work every day this week. That's another big goal. Another thing I did that's been really enjoyable to me is I've been making more sourdough, just like baked goods and breads and discard baked goods and whatnot. So that's been really fun and giving it away to like my friends and coworkers at work and them come find me in the hall and then be like, "Oh my god, that was so good. You have to make me more. Like give me the recipe." So, it
Yeah.
gives
Would
me
you
a
say that's kind of like a relaxing hobby when you're making it?
Yeah, it is for me right now. And so as long as I don't know, I guess you could say it's a hyperfixation, but as long as it is like enjoyable, fun and relaxing to me, like I'm just going to keep doing it. And what's like difficult I think about um like baking as a hobby is when you bake all this stuff, it's like food that is going to go to waste if like you're just like keeping it in your house. So giving it away to friends and family and whatnot has just been like fun for me because I get just as much enjoyment of making everything by myself in like the comfort of my own home as I do like passing it out and watch people eating it and them like raving about it. So it's like
Yeah,
good
that's
on
always a
both.
good feeling.
Yeah. So that's been a lot of fun. And then the the pit of this week was not last night, but the night before, I started my period. And what like I can like I don't know. I say, "Oh, I started my period," and like for most people that's like, "Ugh, like that sucks." But no, like when I say I started my period, probably in the past 6 months, once I feel my period like about to come, like I feel my stomach start to like cramp up just a little bit, all hell breaks loose and I'm like hurled over the toilet for like 30 to 45 minutes until I just get so tired that like I fall asleep and like the first 24 hours of my period is so bad for me.
Yeah, you
So,
get actually physically sick, which I've never actually heard of before. I've heard of obviously really bad cramps and pain and stuff like that and like other things that can happen, but never like being actually sick. That's crazy.
yeah, and like I've heard of my friends when they were younger getting put on like birth control or whatever cuz their periods were so bad. But yeah. So, now we're on day 2 or 3, so I'm fine, but that was a big whirlwind this weekend. So how has your week been? I know you had
My
some fun adventures.
Yeah, my week was really good. We'll get into it more later, but I did something really cool. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk about it and tell you guys about it because I think last week I was very down on myself about not leaving the house a lot and not really doing anything while I was here. And I was so scared I was going to waste all my travels. And I did one really cool thing. And I think it literally brought back my confidence of getting out there doing things and realizing that socializing can be a good thing and I don't have to be a hermit. So yeah, I'll tell you guys more about that later. But do you have any Luna updates this week?
I do have a few Luna update and just like a few goofy stories from her. So the first one was yesterday. I was bringing like 5 or 6 pool noodles back in the house for my car, and I didn't have them like all nice and neatly like tucked in my arm like this, so they were like going like crazy everywhere, and I like did not care. So like I just like opened the door and walked straight in, and Luna was on the top of her cat tower. I didn't even see her. All I saw was her cat tower literally like shake from side to side. She jumped off the top of the cat tower and like ran into like the kitchen and down the stairs. And then
He
she like
probably thought it was a monster coming into the
no,
house.
I know, and I didn't even realize it. And then, like, she, like, peeked over the corner. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Luna, did I scare you?" As I see all these noodles, and I'm like, "Oh no, like, I probably look like a monster to you. Like, I'm so sorry."
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so funny.
And then, I was on the couch with her, like, a few days ago, and I was, like, giving her some attention, and she loves to live her life on the edge, on anything. She loves to just be on the edge. So like her back was like to the edge of like the couch and she wasn't in a very good spot, but she wanted to be pet. So like I started rubbing her belly and I apparently found like a really good spot where she liked her belly to be rubbed. So she went and like completely almost rolled off the couch, and then she, like, caught herself and, like, had her claws in the couch and was, like, digging herself back up, and I had to save her. It was so funny.
Yeah, well, it's not funny when you have that happen and she's on your lap when you're wearing shorts on your bare legs, and she saves herself by digging her claws into your legs, which has happened multiple times.
No, I couldn't even imagine that, and then, like, last night, I I just remember I was in a dream and I was so uncomfortable, and, like, I just didn't know why, and then I remember waking up to her on, like, my chest, making biscuits and just, like, clawing me, and I'm like, "This is the pain and uncomfortableness that I'm feeling." I just, like, pushed her off, and then I went back to bed, but she started
The
waking me up
picture of
now.
Luna making biscuits on you while you're sleeping is so funny because
It
she's just,
pissed
like,
me.
doing her thing.
Yeah. Okay, so switching gears here a little bit, I wanted to talk about my job and what the future holds for me because I know I had said in the past that I was actively looking for a new job. But after starting medication, my experiences while being at work have become so much more manageable. And now I'm able to do the tasks that I need to do. And if I do get distracted at work, I'm able to go tend to the distraction and then pick right back up where I left off. And just the flow of my classroom works so much better. And I don't know. The biggest thing that's really holding me at this place that I'm at is I love the kids and the coworkers of like who I work with, and also the fact that I'm able to take the time off when I want to take a vacation, or if I'm sick for a few days, like I'm able to take that time that I need.
I think one of the biggest parts that was you were struggling with in your job was just being overstimulated all the time, and the medication is probably helping a little bit with that too because you like your whole job being around babies all the time and the noises and the sounds and the things everywhere, that's all just pure overstimulation and you were doing that all day every day. So of course you're going to get irritated and grumpy and you're going to be like, I need to quit this job. I don't want to be here anymore because it was just too much. But now if you're starting to kind of regulate yourself and your emotions and you're able to be a little bit more calm and less distracted, then I could definitely see how that makes it a lot more enjoyable, and all the parts that you do like are what you can focus on now because you have the mental capacity to do that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there are definitely things that could be improved at the center that I'm at. However, just within the past few weeks, multiple coworkers have come up to me and told me that they just noticed just a whole difference in my demeanor. And I'm back to that like not peppy Sarah that like I always am, but like I do have a positive attitude most of the time. And I am that bright light in the classroom sometimes when the mood is not where it needs to be and whatnot. And like there was one day last week where my one coworker wasn't feeling well. And so uh, ultimately she ended up going home, but for most of the day she just sat in a chair and I was like handing her babies to feed and babies to bounce and just different things like that. And she was like, "Sarah, I feel so bad. Sarah, I'm not doing anything. Like what can I do? How can I make this up to you?" And she was just like profusely like apologizing, and I'm like, "Girl, I'm fine. Like, I'm just doing my thing over here." I was knocking so much stuff out. But granted, like, weeks ago, if I would not have been on my medication, that just would have, like, probably sent me over the edge,
You would have been pissed.
and it's not her fault that she was sick, and just yeah, there's just a lot that goes into it, but needless to say, I'm happy where I'm at right now. So, I think in the last, episode, I had said that I just wanted to focus on just, like, a few things for, like, my classroom, and as, like, a teacher staff, we all work on the curriculum together, but it's really challenging in the room that I'm in. So, this past weekend, I was able to create a curriculum and a weekly schedule of when we're doing arts and crafts, when we're doing music class, and when we're doing sensory things, outside play, walks, like all of this. I was just thinking there's not much stuff that you can do with infants. And yeah, you can do like the handprints, the footprints, the this and the that, but when you got 16 babies, you can't necessarily always get that perfect handprint or that perfect footprint or this and that. So, what we
Yeah.
like to do in our classroom is for like creatives or crafts. Sometimes we'll do like the cutouts and make like a cutesy little craft for like a special occasion, but a lot of times we like to paint. And so, painting in many like various ways. So whether that's like putting a piece of paper in like a box with some marbles and some paint and doing it that way, painting with forks, with toothbrushes, with half cut apples, potatoes, just empty bottles, just anything that we can do. So I need like I don't want to be drawing out pictures and all these things. So then like I was looking at all of my books in the room and I was like the Bold and Easy series. So then the ones that you've given me, I was kind of like arranging them in where I want to do them in what month. And so then I know that so many people have copied your series and now I'm fortunate enough to be able to look up bold and easy vehicles, bold and easy this, bold and easy that, and they're just all there. So now I
Oh,
have
so you're using the free versions of people copying my coloring
no,
books.
I'm prioritizing yours, of course, but I do need like I don't think you'd wanna make me letters and shapes and, like, very
No.
simple, simplistic things like that. So, I'm obviously going to use all of your stuff first because you're the OG who started that. But, yeah,
For
so
anybody
now
confused, Bold and Easy is just a style of coloring books that I've made.
yes, from your thriving business.
Yeah.
Yeah, so needless to say, I'm very excited and my motivation is back into, my work, but also to working on that healthy work-life balance is gonna be
Mhm.
very important because I don't wanna get fully sucked back into that, and coinciding along with work is my finances, which is something that I really need to get, like, back on track, and so I think for the next couple months, I'm gonna be prioritizing work and, my finances.
Finances is a lot to organize. I just reorganized all my finances. I reorganized all my bank accounts, all my credit cards, where everything's getting charged. Like now, all my prescriptions, all my subscriptions are on one account because they were all spread out and you can't see everything you have. And so you have no idea how much you're spending. And it took me 2 days to reorganize all that. It's a lot.
Yeah, no, I, like, have all of these things in my on paper now that I want to do and, like, need to get done, and probably I'd say the past couple weeks, I've been prioritizing, like, going home early to try to, like, get these things done and whatnot, but I, like, also don't have the mental load to be able to, like, just knock out all those things one by one. So it's gonna take time, and I do realize that. So I'm just organizing it and sectioning them out in ways that I'm able to just pick things up when I have the time and the motivation to be able to do it, and I'm just knocking things out one by one. So just things are getting
Yeah.
a lot better for sure.
Okay, so sticking with your childcare facility job that you're at right now, do you ha is that you wanna kind of stay there for the foreseeable future, or do you still have a timeline on when you want to start looking for another job, or are you kind of just you wanna just stay there now for now?
I definitely don't see myself staying there, like, long term, but I think for me in, like, my brain, what feels like the best and the easiest, and especially with, like, your year of travel, because that, like, I'll be traveling so much, along with that, I think the best thing is probably staying the school year, and then looking for jobs, like, the end of, like, early spring and whatnot to maybe be out by, like, the start of the summer or at the latest, hopefully by, like, the end of the summer.
Yeah. I think that's a good timeline to shoot for.
Yeah, just I have so many, and I feel like I say this all the time, so many changes going on in my life right now, and I just I think I need to start the things that I'm focusing on instead of viewing it all at a larger scale.
Yeah, I was gonna say this whole finding a job thing, redoing your resume, applying to 20 jobs a day, that takes up so much mental energy that you couldn't really focus on the other things you wanted to focus on. So I think now that you decided you do want to stay at your job for a while, that's kind of just on the back burner now. You know what's going on there. You know you need to do what you need to do, and you can focus on the other things that you want to focus on.
Right, and I really want to just start getting into a routine, and I know, like, I say that all the time, but yeah, I don't know, just I'm content with where I'm at and just going week by week right now.
Yeah. So you think you want to start looking into your finances? That's going to be your main focus next, or is it going to be more just like working on your sourdough bread and kind of working on relaxing hobbies and stuff like that?
I think, it's gonna be probably, like, a combination. I'm trying to make it a healthy combination of everything. I want to possibly just on, like, the side, just selling loaves of bread just for extra, like, spending money and whatnot, that wouldn't hurt,
Mhm,
and it would also be good outlet for all of, like, my baked goods to go. I think setting the goal of like, working my full allotted hours instead of going home early and things like that, um, that's number 1, and then that'll play into me getting higher paychecks and, like, the more money for me to be able to allocate to things, different things, and then
mhm.
so, yeah, just I think
Oh,
it's all like a domino effect.
I have an update that I haven't told you about yet that I just remembered.
What?
Okay, so I did decide that one of my things during my travels is that in each place, I want to go to at least one show or concert. And the reason I decided this is because last night I was scrolling TikTok and I saw, well, I was looking at who's going to be in Boston while I'm in Boston in August. And I saw that the band AJR, which I don't know if you know them, but they're one of my favorite bands. Like their hype music is just so good. I love them so much. I'm going to see them in 6 days.
I'm so jealous.
I know. I'm so
Oh my
excited.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, and I
That's
was looking at the set list.
awesome.
Yeah, and they're playing all these songs that I kind of forgot about, and I was listening to them and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so nostalgic." I used to blare these songs just singing and screaming in my car, and, like, I'm so excited, and I was looking at, clips of the concert on TikTok, and they went all out for this concert. It's really cool, it's really good. A lot of people are like, "This is the best concert I've been to in a long time." It's giving me vibes like when we went to Macklemore, and we weren't expecting how good of a show that was and how nostalgic it was. I think that's what this one's gonna be like, and I got a really good seat too. It's in, like, the 3rd row.
So happy for you. And I don't know how to, like,
Thanks.
emphasize that, like, enough. You just you,
Yeah,
like,
and so they're gonna
deserve
be there.
all of this, like, fun stuff that, like, you're,
Oh.
like, doing. That's awesome. Like, I remember when AJR, they came to, like, Detroit, and honestly, didn't know that you were a fan, or else I would have
Oh.
been like, "Let's go, like, let's go." But wow, that's gonna be such a good concert to go to. I
Yeah,
don't
and it's my
know.
first weekend in Boston.
Yeah, that's gonna be wild. I Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was AJR where, like, they're at this, like, tour that they're doing or whatever, they, like, play on stage, and then for one of the songs, like, one of the artists, like, has to, like, run in, like, however many seconds to get to, like, a place in, like, the top of the stadium, and then, like, he's, like, sitting in a chair, and then he, like, finishes, like, the song up there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they play a full
Is it?
song, I think, in the crowd, in the
Yeah!
nosebleeds, like, in the upper
Yeah!
level. They run up there and play it up there, yeah, and then they have to run back down to the stage.
That's so cool.
There's a
Aw.
lot of things in this concert. I looked up a few spoilers, which I don't know if anybody cares about spoilers for an AJR concert, but maybe scroll like 30 seconds in the future if you do. But they do a fake thing where a light falls on the stage and it like crashes and they're like, "Turn the lights on. Oh my god, this thing fell." And so I stopped watching that because I was like, "Oh, I don't want to know what's going to happen after that. I want it to be a surprise." And then they do this scene where there's a giant screen and this guy, the main singer, he's like riding in a car and then he's skiing and then everything explodes. And then at the end, they have this giant head of the guy, the main singer. It's just like, it's crazy. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, so that's my show in Boston. And then I've been really big into obviously podcasts lately. And so two of my favorite podcasts are doing live shows right now. So my show in August is AJR, September is the Canceled podcast, October is the Basement Yard podcast, and then November is the Eras tour.
Mm. Yay! I'm
So
so
yeah,
freaking
I'm
excited.
all booked up till November for my shows.
Wow, you are just doing the most, and I love that.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And then so in September, yeah, September, I'm going to be in Vermont and you're going to come visit me there.
Yes, we are planning that trip, and hopefully our sister is able to make it on that trip with us.
Yeah, so we're going to try to do like a girls' weekend with the three sisters up in Vermont. And hopefully, fingers crossed, the leaves are starting to change already at the end of September and we'll get the whole New England fall leaves experience too.
That's gonna be so pretty. I really hope it's gonna
Yeah.
be changing colors and whatnot.
Yeah, that's going to be so pretty. And then also the weekend that you're coming, there's a huge hot air balloon festival in the Adirondacks in like upstate New York. And so we're hoping we can drive over to that too.
Yeah, that'll be so much fun. I know we talked about a little bit in the past or the last podcast that um at our aunt's house, she used to be able to see a bunch of hot air balloons from like her deck. And I think that sparked a little curiosity in you,
Yeah,
right?
okay, so let me tell you guys about the cool thing I did this week. So, I thought it was really funny because last week I was so scared I wasn't going to do anything while I was traveling and I was talking about that. And I told Sarah I wanted to go to a couple really nice state parks. And when I Googled right after the podcast, I Googled one of the state parks that I wanted to go to. And I see this little thing that says balloons over Letchworth. And I was like, oh, what's balloons over the park? Like, what does that mean? And Sarah had just mentioned in the last episode, oh, you should do something really cool and interesting, like how we used to be able to see the hot air balloons go in the sky and stuff like that. And I click on the link and it's hot air balloons over the state park, over the waterfalls and everything that you can actually go ride in. And
How ironic.
I was like, no way. We just talked about this. The first park I Googled, the first link I click was hot air balloons over the park. I was like, well, this is a sign I have to do it. So I booked my ticket and I got really lucky because we've been having not so great weather in New York. It's been pretty stormy, thunderstorms, rain most of the days. And so I'm pretty sure the day that I booked was the first hot air balloon flight they were able to actually go up in 2 weeks, is what the pilot told me. So it was literally just fate. It was just meant to be. So 2 days ago, I went up in a hot air balloon. It was one of the coolest experiences ever. And I was thinking about it and I was like, the whole experience, it wasn't just cool being in a hot air balloon, but actually meeting all the people there and socializing because there was a whole crowd of people like watching the hot air balloons go up, which I wasn't expecting. And it was really cool. And I met some people before I went up, and it was this really nice couple. And the woman offered to take pictures of me and videos of the balloon going up so that I could have pictures and videos from the ground. And then she got my phone number and she actually just sent me the videos right before we started filming today. And I was a little worried because it's 2 days later. I was like, oh, maybe she didn't get any good ones or she forgot or she wasn't going to send them. But she sent them. They were so cool. So I'm excited to show you. And so I met them. And then you have little groups of 3 people on each side. So there's 6 people in the hot air balloon, 3 people on each side. And obviously it was just me. And there was a group of 3 and then another older couple, Betsy and Bob. So I was in the side with Betsy and Bob, and we made quick friends. Betsy was really funny. They were just like a typical, really sweet little old couple. Bob was like Santa Claus vibes, like gray beard, gray hair, jolly old smile. He was really cute. And so me and Betsy were just chatting before the balloon went up. And then I got her phone number so I could send her the pictures that the other woman was going to send me. And then, yeah, the whole time we were just up in the air balloon, everybody was just having a good time. It was really cute.
I remember when you called me and you were like, "You'll never believe what I just, like, saw." And then you had told me, like, about how you could potentially go up in a hot air balloon, or you could just stand from, like, the sidelines and just, like, watch it, like how you're telling me about the crowd.
Yeah. And I was asking you which one I should do.
And I'm just like, why not go in the hot air balloon? Like, if you have the chance, like, I don't know. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And clearly it worked out. And then you had texted me the morning after that you had done the hot air balloon, and you were like, "Yeah, I made friends with Betsy and Bob, and I met this other couple, and they're like just from so many different places too." And like, I don't know. I'm like, "I'm sorry, is this Megan? Like, this isn't the Megan that I know," but that's so
You were
good
like,
that
I'm
you're
shocked in a good way.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I said because
Yeah.
did we talk about this in the last episode of our trip to Florida? And
Yeah, we did.
okay,
Or actually, that might have been the episode we cut. I'm not sure. But I'm
okay.
not a social person. I generally don't talk to anybody, like, when I'm traveling.
Yeah, like, great example is Megan sitting by herself at a table reading a book in front of a live band, and just,
Yeah.
like, I would've liked to been at the bar socializing with people, but, like, that's just not her vibe and whatnot, so, just I was very, like, happy, and that's
Yeah,
so
and
I don't know.
I was telling my best friend about it, and she was like, "Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing where sometimes when you don't do something for a while, you just forget. You just forget how good it is, like socializing, which sounds so stupid, but if you're a hermit and you never leave your house, you kind of forget how nice it is sometimes to just talk to people and meet people and see where people are from and where they're going, especially when everybody's doing a touristy thing and they're all traveling and you can find out where they're from and where they're going and what other activities they did and what they would recommend." And so the couple on the ground that sent me the pictures, they're from Brazil, but they've been living in Boston for the last 20 years. And Boston is where I'm going in less than a week. And I was like, what are the odds of that? So we were talking about Boston, and they're like, we love Boston. It's amazing. And then they're the ones that told me about the Adirondack Hot Air Balloon Festival. And they were like, it's amazing. You have to go. We go every single year. We drive all the way up there just to go. And so I wouldn't have known about that at all if I hadn't talked to these people and met them. And then Betsy and Bob were really cute. Betsy invited me over for dinner in Pennsylvania if I'm ever driving through. She was like, oh, yeah, just let me know. I'll send you our address. You can come over for dinner. I was like, "Oh, yeah," but in my head, I'm like, "That might be a little bit too much socializing for me at this point," but that was really sweet.
Yeah, that's so sweet of them to do that. But
Yeah.
then too, with, like, going back to Fate, you were telling me about this, like, hot air balloon in the Adirondacks, and I was like, "Yeah, like, that would be so much fun, like, don't get me wrong, but, like, I did already put in my time request, like, at work, so, like, I don't know that I have the confidence to go ask to change that. And then you were like, "Well, let's just look up, like, the dates of when it is."
Yeah,
It's
because they
the
told
week.
me it was the last weekend in September, and you booked the 2nd to last weekend in September, and I was like, "Oh, man, we should change it," and you're like, "Well, I already took the time off," but then we checked, and it was the weekend you're coming anyway.
Yeah. So, like, how perfect is that?
Yeah, and then another cool thing that I didn't tell you about the hot air balloon thing is it wasn't just going up in a hot air balloon and landing. It was a whole thing. It was a whole ordeal. They had they actually have hot air balloon traditions, and we did a ceremony when we landed. And so how it works is the hot air balloon goes up, and they can make it go up and down with the fire, the hot air that they're shooting into the balloon. They make it go up and down, but they can't really steer it. So they never know where it's going to go. And so we didn't actually get to float down the waterfalls because we went the total opposite way, just the wind was blowing that way. And so they never know where they're going to land. So they usually end up landing in someone's yard or in a field, in someone's field, because there's a lot of farming around here. But it was really funny because once our pilot started realizing where we were going to land, he radios the crew on the ground, and then the crew on the ground is following us along the ground, and they have to run into the house and knock on the door and ask permission if we can land in their like front yard. And these people were so excited that we were landing in their yard. It was really cute because in my head, I'm like not from the country. So I'm like, oh, they'd be like pissed if this giant hot air balloon is landing in their yard. There's trucks driving around in their front yard trying to get the supplies. No, they were so excited. They were so happy. The man that owned the house was like, feel free to land here anytime you want. And then our pilot was this really old man named Carol, and all the other pilots of the hot air balloons that fly are all his kids. So, yeah, it's literally so cute.
That's so cute.
I know, and he was so proud. Actually, the banner of their whole thing, there's 4 hot air balloons. It's him, his 2 sons, and his daughter all flying, and he had to tell us that story because he was so proud. It was really cute. So he's done almost 5,000 hot air balloon flights, and he just really loves his job. It was really, really sweet. And so when we land in someone's yard. So what they do is they bring a bottle of champagne. It's tradition to give the landowner that you landed on a bottle of champagne, and then everybody that was in the flight also drinks, which we just drank sparkling grape juice or something like that. But we all had our little drink, and then he gave us all certificates of survival. It's this whole like really dramatic thing that was like, you survived imminent death, and it's this like really frilly language, but I was like, that's really funny, and that's a cute little souvenir to have. And so he gave us postcards of the balloons and hot air balloons, and they have puzzles and t-shirts and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it was really cute. So we all had our champagne while they were packing up the hot air balloon, and it was really cool.
That's honestly really special how they have, like, the certificate and the champagne and the traditions and everything because just the sentimental, like, aspect and value of that makes the cost of, like, what you had to pay just, like, that much more worth it, and, like, that probably was half the experience as to, like, the ride that you were on and the views that you saw.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting it either. They could have just gone up in the balloon and gone down and been like, "Okay, get in the truck," or whatever, but it was this whole thing. It was really cute. And the other thing that I didn't tell you that's so funny is they never know what the weather is going to be like or what the wind is going to be like. So you have to call 2 hours before to know if they're actually flying that night or not. So like 30 minutes before I could call, I took a shower because I was like, I'll get ready as if I'm going. And so I get out of the shower and I'm sitting there. My hair's wet. I'm like, I'm going to wait until I call to decide what I'm going to wear and how I'm going to do my hair. Because if I don't have to go, which I didn't want to go secretly, I was so nervous. I was like, I kind of hope we're not flying today. I really was just so excited to put on sweatpants and just chill the rest of the night. I was so ready for them to be like, we're not flying today. And so I was sitting there in my towel, just waiting. And then so I call and it's like, we're happy to tell you that we're flying today. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, I have to get ready. I have to go. Like, I actually do have to go. And so I went and I went like an hour early and I saw some of the waterfalls at the park, which I'm so glad I went early because we didn't get to actually see the waterfalls. Probably the prettiest waterfall I've ever seen in my life. My jaw actually dropped when I turned the corner. I had no idea the waterfall was that huge. It was crazy. And there was a rainbow at the bottom of it. It was probably the prettiest waterfall I've ever seen. And I've hiked to a lot of waterfalls before.
Yeah, did you take some pictures? You should add a picture on.
Yeah, if you guys are watching the YouTube video, there's been pictures this whole time of the hot air balloons and everything, but, um, yeah, it was really cool. I actually might try to go back to that same park because I only saw not even half of it because I only went an hour early. So I might try to go back and see the other waterfalls. I think it's one of the only waterfalls or state parks in the country that has 3 waterfalls at 3 different levels. So they call them upper falls, middle falls, and lower falls, and the river just winds down and they keep having these drop offs and it's these amazing waterfalls. And so I only got to see the middle and upper falls, but I'd love to go back and see the rest of it too.
Wow, that sounds so pretty. But see,
Yeah.
now you got that little push and motivation to go back out and do the things that you used to enjoy once.
Yeah, and I was thinking about our conversation as I was, like, walking. It was so so dramatic or so cliche or something, but I'm literally walking down the steps to see the waterfall, and I almost teared up because I was like, "I love this so much," and I was thinking about our conversation, and I was like, "Wow, you just really forget. You forget how nice it is to be out in nature. You forget how amazing it feels to just see something so beautiful, and you just if you don't do those things all the time, you forget how great it is." And I almost cried because I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Like, I need to remember this feeling. And so I'm going to keep it going. I think the more you do these things, the less scared you get to do them and the less anxiety you have about going out and doing things like that. So I definitely want to keep it up and, keep going and doing more stuff like that.
Yeah, agreed. I You kind of talking about that and just, like, being out in nature. One aspect of rowing that I didn't realize that I had that I was very grateful for is the fact of, like, my sport is out in nature and I'm, like,
Yeah.
on the water, I'm seeing, like, the wildlife, just all of, like, the trees and just everything that's, like, surrounding the water, and I miss that, I do, being
Yeah.
on the different bodies of water that I've rode on.
And being out on the water is just a different feeling too. There's just something about water that's so relaxing and so healing. I always try to, every time I'm in nature, I try to be as close as I can to a river or a lake. And when I do hikes, I love to do hikes that have waterfalls or rivers or something where I can see the water because to me, that makes it 10 times better when there's water.
Yeah, and just you saying, like, saying that just triggered something. So I was a coxswain, and like I've mentioned before, I was just like the person in the boat who's keeping like the cadence, keeping everybody like on track. Kind of, I'm the coach in the boat when there isn't a coach around. And in some of the boats, I'm like sitting up in the front and I'm basically laying down. So I'm laying down and just like my head is the only thing that's like up and out of the boat that I can see. And the noise of when the rowers are rowing and just like the gliding of the water, it's so soothing. I swear it could put me to
Yeah.
sleep if I like wasn't the eyes of the boat. Like I'm basically driving, but it's very soothing and calming.
Yeah, like the waves lapping on a beach or the sound of a river rushing by is amazing. I'm actually in the process of choosing the exact Airbnb that I wanna stay in Oregon and, maybe somewhere by Lake Tahoe, but I found one in each place that's right on a river, like, the little cabin is right on a river, and I was like, I don't think you can beat that. I think I might actually rather I can get your thoughts on this because I'm still trying to figure out what I wanna do, but the ones on a river are a little bit farther away. Like, I can choose. I can choose one or the other. Basically, you can be on the ocean or you can be next to the river, or I could be near the city or I could be next to the river, and so my brain is like, I feel like I just need to be next to the river, even if it's farther away.
If the river brings you so much joy, I feel like you're getting the city aspect in Boston and New York and all of that. And so why not be like why not choose something if you have the opportunity to? Then go for like the river.
Yeah, that's true. And part of me was kind of worried because I was like, well, I wanted to check out these cities. And if I'm staying 30, 45 minutes out of the city, that I'm not really seeing what it's like to live in the city. But I really can go do either weekend trips or day trips into the city and see what it would be like there. And I was kind of thinking maybe that wouldn't be enough time to get the vibe of the city. But then I remembered that Boston was not initially on my list of places I was going to travel to. I went there for one day. I drove over to Boston and went there for one day. And I loved it so much in that one day that I added it to my year of travel and I'm staying for a whole month. So I think that's how quickly you can get the vibe of a place and if you're really going to like it there. So yeah, I think I'm okay with being a little bit farther from the city and maybe just doing a few day trips there and seeing what it's like. Okay, so I think that's going to be all for today. We're having a little bit of connection issues, so we're hoping that this recorded properly. But just in case it didn't, we're going to end the pod a little bit earlier and then continue everything else we were going to talk about next week. So thank you guys for joining us. Bye.
Bye.